Wife cheated on me with my best friend, and I had my revenge. Cheat on me with my best friend? I'll wreck your career and publicly humiliate both of you. Shithead and Sarah have been like family to my wife and I for several years, practically ever since we moved in across the street from them. The four of us were extremely tight. Our kids are the same age as theirs and are all good friends. We were one big family unit. We did dinner together a few times a week. We went on vacations together. I truly saw Shithead as a brother, and my wife and Sarah were very close too. 5 months ago, I was completely blindsided by the discovery of an affair between my wife and Shithead. My wife had left her email open on our computer, and I saw an email from her to her longtime therapist saying that Shithead would be joining her at an upcoming session again. WTF? My mind started racing. Why in the world would Shithead be going to her therapy sessions without my knowledge? I did a search and found some other emails to and from the therapist, proving that Shithead had been going to sessions together with her for about 6 weeks. I checked our mobile phone account and discovered that, since late summer, they had been exchanging hundreds of texts every day, peaking at nearly 500 day by the holidays. Speaking of the holidays, my wife and I hosted both of our families, parents, siblings, etc., for both Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner, and Shithead and Sarah joined us either for dinner or after dinner on both holidays. Text records showed that the entire time that they were at our house celebrating with our families, my wife and Shithead were texting each other across the room. They were doing that pretty much every time the four of us hung out for months. And, all day, every day, just in general. But what bothers me the most is that they were doing it with Sarah and I right there. I confronted my wife with the evidence, and she admitted that yes, she and Shithead had fallen in love. It just happened. I don't know how, but I love him and I just don't feel anything for you anymore. I'm sorry. They had gone on a school district trip together. Something had happened in her hotel room, and things had moved quickly from there. She explained as I lay face down on the couch, unable to look at her, that they had already made plans to move out and divorce me and Sarah. And while they didn't plan to move in together immediately because of the kids, they'd probably do so eventually. The meetings with the therapist were supposedly mostly for the purpose of finding a way to break this to me and Sarah as gently as possible, because they were so very concerned for our well-being. Sarah and I are fairly certain that they weren't planning on telling us about the affair at all, and were simply going to discover their feelings for one another several months down the line, after they'd come up with some other reason to divorce the two of us. My wife moved out 2 months ago. I was, and still am, utterly destroyed. I cry every day. I cried writing the first few paragraphs of this story just now. I worry nonstop about the impact on our kids, but I'm also not exactly a shrinking violet when I feel that I've been wronged. And in this case, I was objectively very wronged. So a couple of years ago, Shithead ran for a Board of Education seat as a pretty extreme underdog. I helped him with his campaign materials and debate prep, and my wife, a well-known school district employee, this becomes important later, got the word out as best she could. Much to our surprise, he actually won in a squeaker by just a few dozen votes. Being on the board became the center of Shithead's world. He joined every committee that he could. This turned into the foundation of his affair with my wife, as they were constantly going to school events and meetings together on evenings and weekends. Once I discovered the affair, my thoughts turned pretty quickly to revenge, and it occurred to me that an extramarital affair between a member of the Board of Education and an employee of the school district was at least bad politics and possibly violated district policy. Making things far worse for them was that my wife was in the running for an open administrative position, and everyone knew that she was more or less guaranteed the job and the major pay raise that came with it. She had just finished her master's degree in school administration at the urging of her principal and the superintendent, so that she could be promoted to this specific position. I had plenty of evidence of the affair, texts from both of them admitting to it, text records showing that they were texting hundreds of times a day, emails to and from the therapist, etc. I considered simply emailing all of the evidence to the board and the superintendent, but felt like I, as the grieving, betrayed spouse, might not be seen as a credible source. So instead, I invented a fictitious, furious friend who was planning on showing up to the next board meeting and publicly shaming the two of them for their affair. I told my wife that I'd tried to talk this person down, but couldn't guarantee that they wouldn't show up and humiliate them publicly. As I expected, this led Shithead to conclude that the only option was for him to preemptively admit the affair to the board. The superintendent subsequently recommended that Shithead resign, which he did. Sarah said that he was utterly humiliated and crushed and barely got out of bed for a few days afterward. Once word of the affair and Shithead's resignation started getting around, the superintendent, a longtime friend of both my wife and Shithead, contacted my wife and tearfully informed her that it was no longer politically appropriate for her to be promoted to an administrative position within the district. The position that had been lined up for her was later filled by an outside candidate. This sent waves of confusion and rumor throughout the district, as it was pretty well known that my wife was getting the job. The day after she was informed that she wasn't getting the promotion, my wife and I, despite our crumbling marriage, took our son out to breakfast together on his birthday, and a parent stopped by our table to congratulate her on her new role. She said thanks, then excused herself to go cry in the bathroom for a while. I let the dust settle for a couple of weeks, and then, right before my wife moved out, let them in on my little secret. There was never a furious friend threatening to expose them in the first place. Just me. Word of all of this has gotten around our fairly small town, which Shithead grew up in, and my wife has worked in for nearly 20 years. My wife refuses to talk to me about how things are at work now, but I've heard from some people I know in the district that her formerly spotless reputation has taken a major hit. Shithead, formerly a gregarious social presence in our neighborhood and at events and pubs in town, has completely gone underground and barely emerges to mow his lawn. He's moving out soon to a shitty little townhouse, which is all he can afford due to all the child support he's going to have to pay his wife. My wife and Shithead claim that they plan on trying to make things work together, despite all the public humiliation. I wish them lots of luck with that. I'm sure it will be a lot of fun to show their faces together in town. Answers to some common questions in the comments. Are you and Sarah a thing now? You should totally be a thing. That would be awesome. No, we're friends. We've been incredibly important to each other since this all started, and have certainly gotten a lot closer, but not in the way everyone's thinking. This would all be so much harder to deal with if I didn't have her to lean on, and she says she feels the same way about me. We're going through basically the exact same situation with the same players after all. Shithead hasn't moved out yet. Once he does, we plan to go back to getting the kids together more often like they used to. It'll never be the same, of course. She already does come over with the kids from time to time, but it's just tough with Shithead's constant presence across the street. Didn't your revenge hurt both sets of kids? Not really. Shithead has a day job. The Board of Education was his hobby and his passion, but this didn't affect his income at all. And my wife has been assured that if she wants to pursue an administrative position with another district, she'll have glowing letters of recommendation from her superintendent and principal. It'll mean giving up a lot of work relationships in the process, but given the hit her reputation has taken, I'm guessing she makes that jump sooner rather than later. In the meantime, not moving to an administrative job means that she still has summers off with the kids. Why do you call her your wife instead of your former wife? We're working out way through divorce mediation, but it isn't final yet. Will be soon. Why didn't you notice all of the texting your wife was doing? Well, I did. It was really starting to piss me off. It was excessive. She has a big social circle and does tend to text a lot anyway, but it was really getting over the top, to the point where she was completely ignoring me and the kids. At one point in November, I asked her to agree to a no phones at the dinner table rule, which she agreed to reluctantly, but then would pout through dinner, and eventually she just started using her phone during dinner again. All that said, I was blind. Not only was the texting getting weird, but her relationship with Shithead was starting to make me uncomfortable. Sarah noticed it too, and agreed. We confronted them a couple of times about it directly, and they both swore up and down that it was just school stuff that they were talking about. There was nothing else going on. And for whatever reason, we believed them. Probably because the mind tends to refuse to see things that it doesn't want to see. Thanks, by the way, for all of the support in the comments. I couldn't reply to everyone, but I did read them all, and I appreciate them. Even the brutally honest feedback from people who feel that I did the wrong thing. Posting this and reading all of the responses introduced me to perspectives I hadn't considered about all of this, and reminded me most of all that the anguish I'm dealing with is pretty normal given the situation I'm going through. I had a pretty okay Memorial Day weekend, even though I missed my wife and thought a lot about the things we'd probably be doing as a family. I'm taking my kids camping next weekend and having something like that to look forward to, and plan has me feeling pretty good today. Update. I've been getting a surprising number of requests to post an update to this story. I guess it blew up a bit on TikTok, which I don't use. Where to start? It's been a bizarre few years, especially with COVID thrown in the mix, which I somehow still have never caught, despite my kids getting it twice each. Thankfully just mild cases. Well, at the time that I posted the original story, I was obviously a wreck. Things actually got significantly darker for a while after that. My ex decided to start bringing Shithead around our kids just a few months after she moved out, which was really hard for me to deal with. I'd never really dealt with serious depression before, but things got bad enough that my doctor more or less forced me to start on an antidepressant because I admitted to him that I was thinking about suicide pretty frequently. I think this is where I should mention, Trigger warning for the rest of this paragraph. I had a very specific plan and everything I needed to do it. The one thing that gave me any kind of relief was telling myself that if life got any more unbearable, I had a way out. So yeah, shit got bad, but I'm still here. And thankfully, I don't think about that option anymore. I reluctantly decided to dip my toe into the online dating world, and after a number of short-term things that didn't pan out, I actually connected with someone, much to my surprise. We'll have been together for 2 years next month. She's absolutely amazing. We don't live together, and for the time being, we're both good with seeing each other a few times a week. Would I love to see her more? Yep. Am I ready to live with someone again and go all Brady Bunch with our respective kids? I'm not sure. For the time being, we have a lot of fun together, and that's more than good enough for me. As far as things stand with my ex and shithead, they're still together, but there seems to be trouble in paradise because my kids report that they almost never see him anymore. My kids don't like him at all, and they just avoid him when he's around, according to my older one. When all of this started, she had seemed confident that they'd be living together pretty soon, but they still don't. And as far as I know, there are no plans in the works for that. They did buy a boat together, which I find hilarious for some reason. It just seems like the classic affair couple thing to do. Sarah took a long time to accept that her marriage was truly over, but once she did, she really did an admirable job of moving on. She engrossed herself in home improvement projects. She remains the same incredible mom that she's always been, and she's been in a FWB-type relationship, which is all she wants right now, with a nice, funny guy for almost 2 years. We hang out here and there, especially when my pool is open in the summer. We aren't nearly as dependent on each other as we were in the beginning, but we're still close friends. And no, still nothing more than that, which I'm glad about because the one thing this situation definitely never needed was more drama. My ex left the school district she was working for and took a job in a neighboring district. I have no idea what shithead is up to, nor do I care. I hardly ever see him except at the occasional school event. For a while there, I was worried that he'd look at me the wrong way, and I'd wind up in jail for knocking him out in an elementary school cafeteria or something, but I just don't care enough about him anymore for that to be a concern. So all in all, life is pretty okay right now. I do miss being a family. I still have nightmares about all of this stuff and deal with intrusive thoughts at times. I fall asleep to audiobooks now to keep those thoughts at bay. Otherwise, I still struggle to sleep sometimes. But my girlfriend is amazing. I have an incredibly supportive family. I just officiated my sister's wedding a couple of months ago, and I have a big dog who needs lots of walks, and that's a huge help for me on so many levels. Story 2. My wife cheated on my... I need some perspective, please. I'll try to keep this as short as possible and keep out details that aren't needed. 1. By pure accident, I was signed into my wife's Google account. Went to check a text from my cousin, but it was her account instead. I found and read every text regarding the whole thing from the very beginning. 2. It started in early November. She posted an ad on Craigslist to have NSA, no strings attached, sex. I had a planned business trip in December, and she was planning this all to happen then while I was out of town. 3. She posted 2 different ads. The first one was to have sex with a couple threesome. That never happened. 4. The second ad summarized, written as it was. You would come into the house, it would be dark. You would go into the bedroom and have your way with me. I want to be abused, used, and left satisfied. I want it rough, slight choking, slapping my ass, etc. 5. Confirmed 2 different men effed my wife. I know she performed oral sex on them as well. 6. She sent and received many nude pictures with many other men and women. 7. In some of the texts, she says this would be ongoing thing as I usually leave for a few days every month or every other month. 8. This was the first time. 9. We have only been married a little over a year. 10. We dated 3 years before getting married. 11. She explains to some of the men that she has only had boring sex with me for the last 4 years. After I found out, and recorded everything, saved web pages, screenshots, took notes, etc. I took a shower because I felt dirty and disgusted. I then confronted her about it. She didn't deny anything. Says she still loves me and that we can work it out. She's willing to sacrifice anything to make it work. I packed up my stuff and left. Right now I'm living at my dad's. My gut instinct is to get my own place, wait a few weeks to clear my head, and then file for divorce. I'm disgusted by the whole thing. All I can think about are the details in some of the texts. My imagination is getting to me. My parents are the only ones who know as of right now. My mom agrees with me and thinks I should just leave. My dad, having experienced being cheated on as well, is telling me to wait a bit, clear my head, talk to her, and see what happens then. Reddit, I need some perspective from you. I need advice from people who don't know me. Please tell me what you honestly think. I'm 30, and I feel like my life is fucking crushed. All of the plans we had, house, kids, career, I feel like that has all been taken away from me. Edit. I'd like to thank you all for the advice in the comments. It is helping me a lot. I'm going to a doctor today to get a full STD test. She's making it hard for me, though. I do love her more than anything. At least I did. I'm just so sad, hurt, and angry. But she really wants to work it out. Sorry, I'm not looking for pity. I need and appreciate your perspectives. Edit 2. I'd just like to thank everyone again. It has been 24 hours now since I made this post, and I feel a lot better about my decisions. I'm still reading all of the comments, and I appreciate all of the PM people have sent. I feel so hurt, empty, and angry right now. I miss my dogs, and I'm trying to see if I can afford to get an apartment this weekend so I can get them back. Right now, I'm removing my name from all of our accounts. I'm separating everything I can from her. Thank you again for all of your advice and perspectives. It has made things easier for me. I'll post another update soon. Update 1 first. I want to thank everyone for their advice, comments, and everything else. Second, I need to explain something to everyone. You always read how people find out about their spouse or GF/BF cheating, and the immediate Reddit hive mind is to lawyer up, hit the gym, etc. But you need to know it is not as easy as that. This is the person I've loved for a good chunk of my life. The love I have for that person doesn't just immediately go away. I will say my love changed on a certain level that I can't explain. With that said, it has been 6 days since I found out. I've talked to her multiple times, and we've talked through text and through email and also in person. It is very hard to throw away your entire life that you've built with someone, to throw away all of the lifelong plans you had together. Career, house, kids, etc. Also, I can tell she actually regrets it. I know she is sorry, but I can never trust her again. I'll always wonder whenever she gets a text or whenever I leave out of town for a few days if she'll be fucking some random guy again. I just cannot live with that for the rest of my life. I deserve better. What I've done. Found my own apartment. I move in tomorrow and get my dogs back. Sold my car. I'm very sad about this, but I can't afford to keep my scion's payment. So things are starting to look up. I don't want anything we bought together or anything to remind me of her. I'm basically moving into an empty apartment with only a couch I got for free from my work and my computer desk and chair. I'll just slowly start buying things, which now I can afford without my car payment. She cries when we talk, and it makes me sad. I'm sad for our broken relationship, and I'm also sad for her, because I feel like she really does regret it all. This has been the most difficult thing I have ever had to deal with. I feel like I have 2 paths in front of me that will affect my life forever. On one path, I can take her back, give her a second chance. That will then fork into either her doing it again and me regretting the decision, or it will fork into us having a great marriage forever. The other path is me moving on with my life and not looking back. It is hard to know what decision is the right one. I wish I could see myself 20 years from now and be able to tell. If I knew without a doubt that she would never hurt me again and that our marriage would work, I think I would do it. So there you have it. Thanks again for all of your support, Reddit. Me typing all of this out and getting it off my chest is some sort of therapy, and it makes me feel better. I'm not looking for pity or anything, just telling a friends about life. Edit. I just wanted to thank everyone again for your responses. I received tons of PMs that I'm still reading, but I promise to read every comment and PM, although I don't think I'll have enough time to respond to them all. One thing I've learned from all the PMs I've read is that I am not alone, and cheating seems to be very common. The situations all differ, but it seems the emotional damage is almost always the same. Thank you for sharing your personal stories with me. They really do help. Right now, I'm just taking it day by day, and I hope my real-life karma turns around soon. Update 2. It has been about 3 months since my last update. This will be my final update, but I'll still check the inbox. I can't believe how many messages I received, and I thank you all for them. I'll get right to it. We are getting divorced. It was a very hard decision, and it took me 2 months to really figure it all out. But in the end, I know it is the best thing for me to do. I saw her a few times, but my feelings and love for her has drastically changed. I still love her, but I'm not in love with her anymore. I finally told her this about a week ago. She suspected this was going to be the result, so it wasn't a huge deal. It was weird. I had some gut feeling to check Craigslist, and I see an ad posted by her. It wasn't an NSA sex ad, just a regular dating ad. This was before we had talked about divorce, and it just jarred me. I told her I wanted a divorce the next day. We're both sad. I'm very sad. I don't think I'm really depressed, but I can't stop thinking about what we could have had. I had so many dreams and life planned out, and now I've got to start all over. But things are looking good, and I'm being as positive as I can. I've reconnected with friends from years ago that my ex-wife stopped me from seeing, and it is making things much easier. Besides being sad, I feel good about life and look forward to being with someone else again in the future. My issue, which I'll probably have for the rest of my life, will be trust. I never would have imagined my ex-wife cheating on me, and I can't help but think I'll be suspicious and cautious now. I still hope to have kids one day and have a happy life. I just hope my trust issue won't prevent that. I don't really know what else to say in this post. I wish I had some words of wisdom or something meaningful to share. Hopefully, this is closure for anyone who read my other posts. It is closure for me. Once the divorce is final, I'll never speak to her again. Thanks again for your support, Reddit. I really appreciate all the comments and messages. Last story. I cheated on my wife, and now she's cheating on me. So yeah, I know I messed up. I, 32M, cheated on my wife, 29F, 3 years ago. We have been married for 5 years, and the second year of our marriage, I cheated on her in a drunken fling. She forgave me, and we went to marriage counseling, but 3 days ago, while my wife was in the shower, I went through her phone and found the texts confirming she was cheating. I felt so betrayed, so I confronted her after she got out of the shower. She claims that it's okay because I cheated on her, and I set the precedent for allowing infidelity. I told her that my cheating was a one-time drunken thing and that I haven't done anything since. I also told her that I don't know the girl and that she now has a relationship with this guy IDK. She got mad and stormed off. She left for work Friday and I haven't seen her since. I know she's with him and it hurts. I feel I deserve this, but at the same time I want my wife back. What do I do? Update. Okay, wow, so a small portion of you were kind and understanding and actually gave good advice, but the rest of you are so rude. So I finally managed to get a hold of her. She basically told me it's over and that she no longer loves me. I managed to track her location and find out who the person she's cheating on me with. And Dave, if you read this, fuck you. I honestly can't wait to get divorced now. Update 1. My 32M wife, 29F, hasn't come home since the day I confronted her, so I went to her HR team today with proof that she was cheating with Dave. According to some close friends who work with her when HR pulled her aside after I left. She came out crying, and when Dave tried to talk to her, she pushed him aside and left for the day. This brings me so much joy. I have to have respect for myself because that guy who cheated 3 years ago doesn't exist anymore. I've quit drinking, got into great shape, and haven't felt better. Obviously, the last week has been tough, but knowing hers is about to get so much worse brings a smile to my face. Also, she's going to be getting served sometime this week. I wish I could be there to see her face. Also, it's a bonus if Dave and her break it off. Update 2. So those who saw my last post know what's up, and you can read it if you don't. But since the last update, my soon-to-be ex-wife lost her job, lost her boy toy, and lost a lot of friends. She showed up yesterday asking to talk, to which I laughed in her face and shut the door. I know a lot of you think me a monster and a terrible guy, but I see what you think. Her world is collapsing, and all I can do is laugh. She's earned and deserves all of it. I know I cheated 3 years ago, but she forgave me, and I had to learn to love myself again. She had a full-blown affair for months on end, and she flat out told me she doesn't love me. I was willing to forgive at first, but now, after everything, no, I can't forgive her. I have to much respect for myself. Update 3. So, I effed up. I just got a call from my lawyer and my wife found my Reddit posts with help from who I thought was a friend. My ex-friend recorded me while I was telling him about the Reddit posts. My lawyer told me she's wanting half of everything. I don't understand how or why my friend did this, but here we are. I feel like I've been stabbed in the back twice. First from my wife, and now him. I don't know what will happen, but now I feel less confident about my divorce. I still feel like I can win though, and my lawyer said we still stand a really good chance at it. I called my friend and asked him why he recorded me, and he told me that he respects women and was upset at how I was treating my wife. He told me until I go to therapy again and get some help, he doesn't want to be friends with me because I'm not the same person he became friends with. I don't know what to think anymore. Final update. So the last few months have not gone well for me. Ever since my friend betrayed me, everything has gone downhill. I basically owe my wife half of everything. Because I got my wife fired, and because I posted everything on Reddit, the judge ruled that I had essentially ruined her reputation, so she got the house because it's paid off and she has nowhere else to live. My lawyer tried to get the judge to rule for us to sell the house, but the judge wouldn't budge. My lawyer says that I should try to sue my friend for defamation because my wife now has my posts and has been sending my Reddit posts to all my friends and family, and basically everyone has distanced themselves from me. I don't know if I'd win that lawsuit because they have proof that I did post it. I don't know what to do from here, but I think have a lot of self-reflecting to do. Oh, also a lot of you were right that my friend has started to hook up with my ex-wife, so there's that. I'll let you guys know if I want to go through with suing my friend, but as of right now, that's all I got to update you guys with.